Deepti Laurent has been looking at the top stories today in the papers and online, and she joins me now on the set. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
Lots of focus on Emmanuel Macron, who's continuing his mini tour of Africa today.
That's right. It's just a 3-day tour in 2 different countries. Yesterday, he was in Nouakchott, the Mauritanian capital. But, you know, so far his visit has really failed to impress the papers, at least the French right-wing paper, L'Opinion. They've accused him of being caught up by realpolitik, wanting to focus on education and youth. Macron instead was a, quote, prisoner of the current African security context and the looming migrant crisis between Europe and the African continent. In fact, criticism has also been leveled at African leaders because there were about 20 African leaders or so who met with Emmanuel Macron for a summit yesterday. The Ghanaian paper Le Jelly says, despite the perfect opportunity, none of the African leaders had the courage to, I quote, grill the French president on the issues of how Europe is dealing with the migrant crisis, the role that the African continent has, and the fact that many of those migrants are indeed coming from the African continent.
So that tour continues today with the French president heading to Nigeria, where he'll be visiting, among other things, a nightclub.
That's right. He'll be starting off in Abuja, the capital, to meet with Muhammadu Buhari, the leader there. But after that political meeting, he'll be heading to Lagos, the Nigerian city of Lagos, to visit the Afrika Shrine. It's a nightclub founded by Nigeria's Fela Kuti, once often considered the father of the Afrobeat music genre. The Guardian Nigeria says Macron is the first, quote, real president to enter a venue synonymous with marijuana, sexy backup dancers, and protest music. Indeed, Fela Kuti's music often included searing indictments on corruption and incompetence in the country.
Deepti, you're going to stick with the French president for the next story. Macron has launched an academy to breed a future generation of Macron politicians.
Well, I quite like the way that Politico, the website, has put it. They call it the Mini-Me Academy, or Macron's Mini-Me Academy. As of yesterday, he began the Politics for Everyone Academy. It's a virtual school offering seminars and courses and e-learning for those who are interested in following Emmanuel Macron's style of politics. The idea, at least according to Politico, is to build an army of Macron loyalists ahead of next year's European elections, which are shaping up to pit the liberalists of Europe against the far-right populists.
Next now to Iran, where an army general has accused Israel of cloud trafficking.
And literally trafficking the clouds above Iran. This is a very bizarre story from the French paper Le Parisien. Now, Iran is going through a pretty bad drought right now, and Le Parisien reports that on Monday, an army general, accused Israel of literally stealing the clouds above Iran and preventing rain from falling on the country. This country's scientific agencies even backed this up with their own conclusions from a study. The general also actually accuses Iran and, I quote, another regional country of preventing snow from falling down on the country as well. Thankfully, the weather board has poured, if you allow me, rainwater on these accusations, denying them outright.
All right, Deepti, a word now on the World Cup and reactions to that incredible nail-biter between Belgium and Japan.
Well, it was much more entertaining than anybody thought it would be, at least the second half of that game. The Red Devils snatched victory from the jaws of Japan in the dying seconds of the game, winning 3-2. Miraculous, that's what the Belgian paper Le Soir says on its front page. They've dedicated 7 pages of today's edition to that victory. Now, on a side note, Quartz, the website, is actually looking at the surprising linguistic challenges for the Belgian side. The country has 3 official languages. You've got French, Dutch, and German. Yet the team has to communicate in English. It's basically the universal language by default, and in fact the Belgian coach is Spanish, so it helps communicating with him. Quartz explains they could speak French because most of the team do know French, but doing this would affront the country's Flemish speakers and possibly ignite national divides. For Quartz, it's proof of the gradual establishment of English as a default language, not just in Belgium but Europe as a whole.
Deep football fever may have gripped millions of people around the world, but a new study you found from a dating site shows that football has become a point of contention for many couples.
Well, off the bat, we should say there are a lot of female football fans, and this does not concern them. But if you don't like football, the World Cup has left many women feeling like the third wheel in their relationships. This is a study from the extramarital dating site Gleeden, which, by the way, should never be a point of reference. At least it is here right now. They found that out of 8,000 women surveyed, 73% say they feel a little abandoned by their partners during the World Cup. And 71% of women say their partners have turned down sex to watch a football match. Hopefully, this is just a World Cup thing, and it will end after July the 15th.
Or maybe it's just a good night to go have a girls' night.
True.
Glass half full, huh?
Why not?
Deepti, thank you for that. Deepti Gallaron with that look at the press today. You can get a closer look at that, of course, on our website. The address is france24.com.